Welcome back. We got Jeff Fox back in the house. How's it going?
It's going. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, hey, like I always say when you're here, the pleasure is all on this side of the table. All right. How have you been, man?
Been good. It's been super busy. I mean, we're growing. We're getting more clients. It's been a ride.
I know. I noticed that you're getting, and just for the few viewers that have signed on since the last time you were here, I think we doubled our membership, the subscribers. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I went from having 2 subscribers to 4.
Congratulations. I was probably one of them.
Oh, yep. And the other one was a fake account that I set up.
That's a bot or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you're a professional producer.
Yep. So I have 2 companies. One is a film production company, and we specialize in the business side of film. So basically we do everything except hold cameras. So most of the time that's development, financing, marketing, and distribution. So just not the actual production or post-production where you're actually making the film.
Okay. And then the other company,
which I'm going to have ask you some questions about today, is a marketing and video production company. So on that side, we are holding the cameras, we are doing the creative side, but we're also helping small businesses, actually be able to grow their customer base and everything.
Right. Because you do, for a lot of small businesses here in San Diego, you do their their marketing, right? And their video productions and things like that.
So we try to be like a kind of a one-stop shop for small businesses. I kind of treat us as like your outsourced marketing department. So it's like we try to treat ourselves like we're part of your company, part of your organization, and we're your whole marketing department. So all you have to do is kind of let us loose. We create the strategy, we gather the content, we create the content, we post it, and so we do everything from idea to like actually implementation, analytics to show you how we're doing, all that fun stuff. So, but we try to do it at a price point that is affordable for small businesses because that's our passion.
Yes, I got you. And you have, so part of how this all came about for today is Jeff had some run it by my lawyer questions. And I said, you know what? A best time for me to answer these questions, Jeffrey, is on the podcast.
Yeah, I get to air out my dirty laundry live.
Yes. Yeah, Jeff had some questions like, how come I keep getting arrested when I run into the DMV naked? I said, stop doing that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's not actually help. Like I'm not going to stop. So like, you just have to tell me how to not get arrested.
Right. When I said you can get the DMV faster, I didn't mean do that. No. But all jokes.
That's not what streaking means.
Right. Yeah. Because last week we had a very serious topic on the show, so I was excited today we get to goof off and have some fun and talk. And then I realized the topics that you had was employment law things, things that employers and employees need to know. One of my jokes about the law profession is there's been a lot of lawyers employed because of disputes over employment. Tons of them. So you've been growing, so that's wonderful. So you have now, I think, like 8 or 9 people on your team, right?
I think we're almost there. We're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so now comes the time where you have to transition, because in the past you've had the worker, like your helper or your team,
we have some that are
independent contractors, and now
a lot
we're
of independent contractors.
And now. As I mentioned, so the law is that as people, if they're on a, like a set schedule, or if there's like uniforms they wear, or they have to be at the office as opposed to home, and that kind of their day-to-day is supervised, right? So then they're no longer independent in the theory of independent contractor. They become what's called an employee. And as I know too from experience, making the transition from somebody having people that help you as contractors to employees is very expensive.
Right, of course.
Yes.
And I'm aware of that, and I know that as a small business you're starting off, that's kind of one way you kind of cut the corners and everything, and you try to make sure that you can pay everyone, that your company can exist so that anyone can get paid at all.
Right. And then some of those fees, because all right, so here's how it goes. Let me from the law standpoint. All right. So if, for example, like the FedEx guy that comes and delivers, packages, right? Obviously, that is the clear independent contractor. You would never have to pay that guy a salary, right, or anything, right? And then if somebody kind of like helps you, like here to there, or does independent work for you, or they're doing a gig and they're like working from a different state or something, you know, they're on their own and they have a bunch of clients and you're one of them. Yeah, those are independent contractors. It's like when they become an employee, I kind of call it like a freaking, it's like a marriage, you know, you went from dating to like, you know, now as an employee.
Right.
And then you have to pay for all these extra fees. And by the way, the biggest lawsuits over this was like Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, because they were getting paid as independent contractors.
Right.
Right. And so there was all these lawsuits over that because Uber was, and it's not just small businesses.
No, of
Everyone,
course,
because independent contractors, you know, there's workers' compensation, employment taxes, disability pay, you know, withholding, unemployment insurance. There's all these things that you have to pay once somebody becomes an employee. So Uber and Lyft, they were paying everybody as independent contractors. So there was all these lawsuits because these people are saying, I'm not getting disability insurance. I'm not getting unemployment insurance. I don't get workers' comp. Blah, blah, blah. I don't get lunch breaks. You know, all this jazz. So yeah, it's crazy.
Should probably get lunch breaks, but
right? Yeah.
even contractors should be allowed to eat.
Yes, right. So it got so bad that it's like Uber then lobbied, you know, the state senate and whatnot, and so they passed law saying, okay, there's like a special exemption, so Uber can pay as gig workers, they call it, you know what I'm saying? So they can pay independent contractors.
Yeah, I feel like I was trying to go through like what the rules are, like what the difference is. I know California specifically passed like it was like AB5 or there was, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, well, that was for the Uber, for the gig workers.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, and because it was complicated because they had like there was like 3 different ways you told before, and then they modified it. Was like the ABC rule, and then they modified it to something else, or now it is that. I don't even remember, but it was like, and Uber drivers, I feel like kind of definitely skirt the line there because like again, they're not like my friends who do that kind of stuff. They clock in when they want. They just like say like, oh, I'm working now. Right. And then they can stop. They can turn off their clock whenever they want. They, you know, so it's like they're kind of on their own schedule. They don't have supervision. They don't, you know, it's like if you're like going by that, it's like maybe
they're independent. Well, yeah. No, I know. And by the way, so I represented a lot of Uber drivers. I forgot for years and years ago, because I thought it was unfair because if they were an independent contractor, so there's no unemployment insurance. So when COVID hit and everything, right? So they were just out of a job, but there was no unemployment. Because they never had a job. They were just independent contractors. But anyway, so nonetheless, they passed that law. So basically, okay, so to answer your question, so if you have people working for you, you know, and you're paying them as a contractor, it kind of has to be, it's not like a mathematical formula, okay? It kind of like goes like this. If you control the time, meaning like, oh, you got to be here, you know, at 2 p.m. and you leave at 10 p.m., right? Like a restaurant worker. Restaurant worker is a clear, you know, you have to be here from this time to this time. Right? And then if you control things like how they do the job or when their jobs are due, things like that. And then, you know, definitely if there's like a uniform they have to wear, you know, whatever, or stuff like that. So all of that being the case, then they would be considered an employee. And the kind of the theory is that then, so that they get all of these benefits that guess who pays for, you know? Right? Yeah. The employer pays for all those benefits. And those, like I said, some of those benefits included, you know, the workers' compensation, the unemployment insurance. It's about 30%. So if you're paying someone $30 an hour, it's going to be basically $39 an hour. Right. You know? And then, remember we were talking about the employee paycheck to paycheck gets less money than the independent contractor. Right. Because the employer has to withhold the money. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. So so the employer withholds the money, not all the money, just the money for taxes. Yeah, for taxes, right. The employer withholds it and pays, you know, that straight to the government. And so from the employee standpoint, it's like if they're making $30 an hour as an independent contractor, they get more per check, right? Than if they're an employee. Right. But remember, but in reality, the employee makes more, right? So tell us how.
Well, I mean, I still don't fully understand it all 100%. Because I know that, like, you know, because they're at the end of the year, if you've withheld a bunch of money from their income, when they file their taxes, they're going to get a return, tax return. Yes. assuming that they're, of course, the amount that you withheld is more than their tax rate would have been, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Which for most people, it's probably
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And
or
plus,
entry level employees.
when you withhold as like, let's say they have to pay for like Social Security tax, right? If it's like 12%, like you pay half of that and they pay half of
Right.
that. Whereas an independent contractor at the end of the year, they have to
just
pay all
add
of
that
it.
on,
Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I've had this, okay, so, and I've had to explain this to a lot of clients. Like, let's say we settle a wrongful termination case, right? And then they say, okay, fine, we'll pay this former employee $30,000 of wages, like back wages, right? So I tell them, and then sometimes like we get this option, like, okay, do we want to take that money as employment money, or all as an independent contractor money? Like, let's say that
Right.
portion of the settlement. And I tell the people, okay, here's how I got to explain it. You ready? And this has been the toughest thing to explain sometimes. I'm like, okay, if you take it as an independent contractor, you're going to get 30 grand. If you take it as an employee, you'll get like 22 grand. So right away they say, okay, I'll take it as an independent contractor. I can be like, wait,
But
yes, because then what happens when you do your taxes, you'll probably have to pay like $9,000 or $10,000 of that, right? Whereas if you do the $22,000 when you do your taxes, if it's withheld exactly right, you won't pay anything, and if it's like some sort of like weird thing happen, like you'll get a couple $1,000s back.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So
or
it's
if
like,
you overpay,
Yes.
if you underpay, technically they can still give you a bill. But like
Yes.
if you like didn't give enough to your employer, didn't take enough out or something, right?
But somehow they always take enough out. And then
Somehow
some,
they
yeah.
always do.
The only way
The
they
government
don't,
never accidentally
Yes.
makes you give them a free loan for less than they need.
right. But the only, okay, sometimes there's like this goofy trick that I do not recommend because it ends up costing you a lot when you do your taxes. So let's say you work, let's say whatever at run it by my lawyer, I'll hire you.
Okay,
right?
great.
And then when you do the withholding, if you say something like, "Oh, I have 9 dependents," right? So then I would withhold less because your ultimate taxes will be less, right? Then at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, you're like, "Oh no, in reality, I only have 0."
Yeah.
So that's why maybe we didn't withhold enough.
Right.
Then you would owe money.
Yeah.
So in that rare circumstance, that would happen.
Yeah.
And so then the next thing, see, California employment law, and this is the same in every state, I should say, for the most part, there's all these like different layers of how complicated it gets. Because after what I tell employers, okay, is this, after you decide, all right, so these folks are employees, I got to pay them employees. The next thing is, right, hourly versus a salary.
Right.
And that's the next thing. And there have been a lot of lawyers that have made millions of dollars over this question, whether you pay someone an hourly or a salary. Okay.
Right.
So here's how it goes.
Okay.
So right? You have, if the person is a high skilled position, if that position is kind of like it could be like a managerial position or it could be a very professional, position, like an accountant or doctor or an engineer or lawyer. Okay. Or if they're a manager, or if they have like a lot of responsibilities and things not including like cleaning up or serving food. You know what I'm saying? Because those will be like, they're all automatically considered low skill positions.
Right.
Okay. Not a low skilled person. Just the position is low skilled, right?
Sure.
You could have like a genius work in a low skill position. So that's considered a low skill position.
Right.
Okay. So for the low skill position, they have to be hourly employees. Whereas the higher skilled or the professional, the manager, they have to get paid a salary.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? So so if you change your workers from contractors to employees, then the next question is, are you going to pay them hourly or a salary? An hourly worker for the lower skilled, okay, then there's all these like extra protections that they have. Okay, and those I always got to write these down because there's so many. Okay. Did you ever work at a restaurant or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Not a restaurant in particular, but I've worked in different. I worked at a Quiznos Subs.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
Cold Stone Creamery.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I worked at a Costco.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So all of those you got paid hourly, right?
Absolutely,
Yes,
yes.
because you weren't the manager at Costco.
No,
you weren't
I
the
was not.
exec.
No,
you
this is
weren't
during like high school and
yeah,
college.
you weren't the supervisor. So every few hours you got.
Hourly?
Did you get a break every few hours?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so there's all these crazy rules about breaks, and they call it meal breaks and rest periods, right? And those things in a California law, it's like, okay, and I always tell people, the labor strikes in the past, I mean, they fought for like centuries over rest breaks and lunch breaks and overtime pay.
Yeah.
So the hourly workers, you have to give them a certain amount of breaks. You have to, so every like 4 hours, they have to have a 10-minute break. That's paid. A paid 10-minute break.
Yeah.
Every if they work like if they work 8 hours, you have to give them a 30-minute lunch break.
Yeah.
That's unpaid.
Right.
Okay. And then if they work over 8 hours in a day, you have to give them time and a half overtime. Right. And so and the salaried employees, you don't have to do any of that.
And if it's their 6th day of the week and it's overtime, then it's double time.
Yes,
I remember Costco was super strict on that stuff because they get sued all the time by their union. So like if
God bless.
Yeah. So like
lawsuits.
they would be like, you know, so I remember it was like, okay, you have to take your lunch at 5 hours because if you get hit 6 without taking your lunch, it's now illegal.
Yes.
And you're getting
so and then someone like Joe Samo gets excited and comes in.
Yeah. Like I got to 6 hours and 1 minute and you're like, we got him.
Oh my, yeah, lawsuit time.
Got him. Class action.
Yes.
Everyone's getting sued.
And the best way. Okay, so for like, and I've had these lawsuits, and it's been good money. There was one lawsuit I had where it was like a sober living recovery house. Yeah. Right. So the guy that owned it, like he owned a few of them, and dude, they're good businesses because there's a lot of drunk people, and the state pays for it for some people for their recovery or their health insurance or things like that. So anyway, and I say that because the guy we went after was making bank. It was like instead of opening banks, just open up these sober living. Like he was making so much money. Anyway, so he was paying the employees a salary, right? And it was a lot of work, right? And the way we so we represented like a class of them, and the way we won the whole thing was because one of the biggest things is like, okay, are they on a schedule? Because if they're on a schedule, then they're they're employees and they're like, do you see what I'm saying? Like they're not like a manager. Like they were like doing the nitty gritty work and everything, right? So because he was paying them a salary, like everything was triggered. All of the rest breaks, the overtime, that, like everything you could imagine was triggered. In fact, and in addition, he was paying them as contract workers. So all of the other rules were triggered. All the hourly rules were triggered. It was like,
just messy.
Yeah. I think he wanted to get a drink after that.
Yeah.
No,
I got to open up another house for himself.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm just joking. We settled it. Everything was very, very fair. The next thing with employment law that I always like to say. So those are all they call it the labor rules, right? Then comes the other employment laws, all of the like when you're allowed to fire somebody, when because I get these calls all the time, like, dude, this guy is I get a call from a salon. So they were saying like the woman was kind of like she was loud, she was kind of obnoxious, she was a jerk, blah blah blah. Yeah. Right. So they were wondering if they didn't end up firing her, but they were like looking into it, right? So they called me. So the next order of business is this whole thing about wrongful termination. So again, lawyers have made a lot of money over wrongful termination. So did you ever get fired from a job? I have. It's a fun experience.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah, right. So
I think I got fired from my first job.
I think you did.
Yeah, I
did
think so.
too. I can't remember. What was my first time getting fired? I'm sure it was like when I was in high school or something.
Yeah. It was my first job when I was 16 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
What did you do?
I think I just
stealing pizza.
No, I think I no-showed one of the days. Like I think I got my schedule wrong, and like they're just like, hey, you didn't come in. I was like, I'm not supposed to work till tomorrow. It's like, nope, you're supposed to work today. I'm like, well, I'm out of town, and it's like, well,
so they're like, well, good news, you don't have to work tomorrow either.
Yeah, exactly, basically. So it's like, well.
So there it is. Okay, so the deal with there was a lawyer that I worked with a long time ago, right? And she used to always say an at-will employee can be fired for any reason at all, as long as it's not the wrong reason. That was her saying, and it was so true. Yeah. So your employees, like theoretically, you can fire them for any reason at all, as long as it's not the wrong. Yeah, where are they?
Where are you?
Yeah, right. You can fire them anytime you want because they're at will, and they can quit anytime they want. So as long as they're not on a contract
Right.
So I get all those calls from employers and employees. Oh, am I allowed to quit? Oh, the best one is I get a lot of calls. Like, there are people out there that think getting fired is illegal. They just call me like, oh, I can't believe, Samo, I got fired.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. What'd you do? Oh, they said I was a bad employee and that I didn't produce enough and blah, blah, blah. All of that is valid reasons to get fired. So I go, those are all valid reasons, as long as it's not the wrong
reason, which is like you're gonna go over those, aren't you?
No, I'm gonna go over some of those. Right?
I didn't want to steal your thunder.
No. You can. I don't have thunder. You're the thunder guy.
Well, yeah. I was gonna guess a couple, like those protected classes, like things like that would probably be wrong reasons to fire people. What else? Let's see.
You're onto something, Mr. Free Speech sometimes, and. Yeah, so I got, by the way, my wife got me this pen. It is the coolest pen.
I like that pen.
It's thanks a lot, wifey. Check it out. It's like a handyman pen. It's got a stylus here. Then it's got a screwdriver. Like this port, there's the Phillips. This one,
it's got a little changeable bit.
Yeah, changeable bit. And it's got like the measuring things. And my favorite part, it's got the leveler.
Oh, yeah. So it's got a little bubble level in there.
Yep. Oh, this one is level. Look at that. See, oh, good. The table is built correctly.
Great. Okay.
Okay. There was this one short film I watched. It was called Have I Shared Too Much? It was about this guy applying for a job, and during his interview, this is back in the good old days when they'd have a personal, like a face-to-face interview.
Right.
They looked up all his social media stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so there have been so many lawsuits over people getting fired for social media posts.
Okay, so that's interesting. Like things off the clock.
Things off the clock.
Okay.
And when I used to teach law, I would kind of go over some of these because I would warn the students, your employer is watching you. My favorite, here's some of my favorite ones. There was this, she was a flight attendant for Delta. So she had this awesome page where she was the queen of the sky.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It was a nice blog, the Diary of a Flight Attendant, the Queen of Sky blog, and she was tall, blonde, and she was cute, and she posted all these pictures everywhere, right, on her blog, and it was like highly followed, right? I'm sure no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
right?
like all of us, we have very successful blogs and podcasts
right?
and all that.
So unlike unlike run it by my lawyer, she had a lot of followers.
We're gonna change that, Joe. We're gonna change that.
So anyway, she had a lot of followers, right? And then she got fired for, if it was a Joe Samo Airlines, I doubt I would have fired her for that, because it was like, dude, what's the big deal? Why are they so uptight?
Was there anything she posted that was like against the company or anything weird?
No,
or like it was all positive?
No,
it was all...
no, all of it was positive.
That's free marketing.
I know, it's like, come on, man. Yeah, dude, what the heck? Yeah, but they thought it was inappropriate. And it wasn't like she had any naked pictures. I mean, for the benefit of the podcast, I researched it to make sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to do my due diligence. I know how you're a stickler about due diligence.
I know as an attorney, you're very thorough.
Yes. So I looked everywhere to see if there was naked pictures of her. And there isn't, and she still got fired. Totally uncool. Now it gets a little better. Okay. So so she would not have a good case.
Okay.
Because, so it's a private employer, meaning it's not the government. Because the government, you have free speech when it comes to the government, but you don't have free speech with a private employee.
Right.
Okay. So then there was all these other lawsuits from government workers, right? For example, we have a police officer, in Colorado. So she was like a big shot. Like she was like a police chief of a small company or a small place, right? Yeah. And so she had these racy photos that she was publishing, and then she got fired. But come on, once again, here we go. And we're going to blur her face, okay?
Right,
look, so that's her as the lieutenant, and that's her in the fun pictures.
Yeah,
okay,
the fun pictures.
Right? So she got fired as well. Now this one, for police officers, I don't know. You tell me. Okay, so with government employees, they have more rights than a private employee when it comes to free speech.
Okay.
So if they share too much on social media, they're a government employee, so they have more free speech rights.
Okay.
So then the government has to prove. So here the police department has to prove that her posting racy racy pictures of herself would be a detriment to the police force.
Right.
What do you think?
I think.
Do I have to show you the photos?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I think she was pretty hot.
Yeah. Right.
I'd be okay with her arresting me. So.
Yeah. I bet you would, Jeffrey. I bet you would. No, but
it's a joke. It's a joke.
I know.
It's a joke.
Everything we say here is a joke. We're all fictional characters here.
I love my wife. It's a
yes,
joke.
yes. So okay. So what's the deal? I don't know how she. Okay. The police department is allowed to fire police officers if they kind of do things that show kind of like some sort of immorality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I guess racy photos is.
Okay.
Uncool.
Yeah, I mean,
and there was a guy, a California police officer, that he was then, this was when eBay was this is like 25 years ago. eBay was first starting. So he would have like naked pictures of himself and he would like sell them on eBay and everything.
Makes
and
sense.
And a bunch of people were buying them, He must have been like freaking like awesome build, like, like a Jeff Fox build, right? So anyway, so he was.
Yeah, start flexing the rest of the podcast.
Yeah. And he got fired and he didn't win the lawsuit either because they're allowed to fire. Now, nowadays, okay, it gets even more fun with employee lawsuits, okay? Because now you have Black Lives Matter,
right? Yep.
Right? So you have some employees that got fired from Home Depot, Taco Bell, things like that, because they would show up to work and on their uniform they'd have a little like BLM.
Oh, right,
Do you know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like political statements at work kind of thing.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And so they got fired and they lost their lawsuits.
Okay, so they said that you can be fired for okay.
Yes, yeah. So
I don't know what, I was like, who lost? The company or the
company? Sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. The employees.
The employees lost,
not the company. So because employers can have those. Now, I advise employers to be very clear, like in a handbook or something that says we don't allow political statements that we don't like.
You know what we don't like? I like that. That's a funny way of explaining that.
Right? Yeah. So now had they worn a cross or something. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then that would have been like then remember we said protected speech. Maybe that could have been that would have been a tougher thing for them to fire them
political
over.
speech isn't protected anywhere, right?
Well, hold on. No, it is.
Okay.
But it isn't when it comes. Okay. See, this is where it gets weird. Yeah, I know it is protected.
Okay.
That's like it is protected. But the thing is, it's the employer also has that right. So if the employer wants the political speech of not having BLM, they're allowed to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so
because your brand has an image, and you like are trying, and like so if you're allowed to make uniforms, like it would make sense that you'd be allowed to say what
goes on them and what doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then they won that one. Now the weird one was this. There was in the state of Washington, right? So there was the Department of Corrections, like the prison guards, right? So all of them were wearing what is the Police Lives Matter? But I never see PLM.
No, I think it's Blue Lives. Yeah.
Oh, so instead of BLM, Black Lives Matter, BLM, Blue Lives. Oh, I didn't pick up on that one.
I've never even seen them use the acronym. I usually just see that
Blue
weird.
Lives Matter.
They just say the whole thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Or like do that flag with like the blue stripe in it.
Oh, that's what that is, the blue stripe. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you told me that. I didn't know that. I thought that was just like a misprint or something.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah, you messed up the black and white on the flag. So
yeah, I know, but then the stripe in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know what you I was just like, oh, maybe that just the pixels didn't work out right. So now I know. Okay.
Now you know.
So they were wearing the Blue Lives Matter, right? Then you got a guy at the Washington State Prison that wore Black Lives Matter, and then you got fired. But that's a government
Okay.
job, right? And
This stuff gets a little
still-
complicated.
It does get complicated. He lost, right? Like I'm sorry, either he lost or he hasn't won yet, but he will lose. One or the other.
Right.
Because that one is like he's gonna upset his fellow, guards. Like that one is that is the closest call we could get.
For
but
sure.
I think the prison, the state will win that one in a close call because you don't want like, police officers like. You could allow them to have some sort of like, okay, we matter, but when the perception is when someone is wearing Black Lives Matter, it's like we matter more than the police or something. I don't know. It's a big political issue, correct?
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So
Very complicated. I mean, because and there are obvious rules even in government and stuff. What you couldn't wear, like you couldn't wear a swastika, even if
No
that,
way.
even
That- you would
if that
never
was
win that one. Yeah.
even if it was a political statement, right? Like there are political statements that are not acceptable.
Yes. Yeah.
And
yeah,
on
yeah.
obvious lines you can't cross. So like
Right.
that one I think is a
That's-
little grayer, but
Yeah, that gets it's almost blue. Sorry. But yeah, that one is the state would win that one. But I'll tell you one the state did not win. Okay, so in California there was a prison guard and they had a rule that all guards had to be fully shaved.
okay.
Right? I'm not a big shave. I hate shaving.
I get like this is about how I kind of just leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like it's just
I get it till it's long enough to touch my lips and I don't like it anymore, and then I
you
shave it to
shave it, yeah.
about here. So
I kind of get itchy right here.
Yeah.
So they had a rule: all guards had to be well shaved or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we had one guy. He was Sikh. Okay.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
so they don't shave.
Yep.
They let their beard grow,
Yep.
right? Or that's most of them do.
Religious beard, yeah.
For a religious beard, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a tough call.
That is a tough
So
call.
then he got fired,
Yeah.
okay, because he violated the rule. They said, well, we don't have a religion. You can be as Sikh as he wants, right?
Yeah.
But our rule is just everyone has to shave, right? And so he challenged it. He won.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because they end up paying him like 300 grand and they gave him a better job because it's that one goes like this. They have to kind of, the employer has to accommodate a religious practice if it doesn't mess up their core job function.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like if the religion was, no, I have to let
You have to
people
pay
be
me for
free.
not working.
Yeah. I have to let people free. Like I have to like let them out of the cells. Like
Yeah.
that one they could fire him over because that religious accommodation would mess up the core of their work, right?
Right.
Or if they said something like, okay. But this one, just having a beard did not mess. Like he could still be a prison guard.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, he still can function in his job just as well as anyone else.
Exactly.
Just with a beard.
It's just with the beard.
Probably
right?
a pretty cool beard.
Yeah, exactly. It would be like, imagine, here it is. So if you had a bar, right, and then you have a worker, and then all of a sudden, like, just like in the middle, like a year later, he said, he comes in, he's like, well, I became Mormon, or I became Muslim, or I became whatever, right? And now I can't serve beer. Do you see what I'm saying? And he's a bartender. So he could say, well, I'll still serve the Pepsi and water and food. I just won't serve.
I'm sorry, but this is a
beer."
bar.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that guy you could probably fire him. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, because then his core function would not be able to be served, unless there's like, I don't know how, unless there's like a kitchen and
Where
you
you
could
can
find
just
something
see
where
if
you
you
could
could get
stick
him
up.
to. You'd have to maybe offer him a different role or something.
You'd have to
that-
find some sort of accommodation
Interesting.
potentially.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so, but if there isn't a reasonable accommodation, then you could fire him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Now, I know.
This gets complicated. I'm so glad there's lawyers like you out there to tell me. Walk me
The
through
best
it.
is all of the whenever something's like on the cusp or it's like ambiguous. That's where the lawyers. That's where
Yeah.
we live. No.
Yeah. Swastika, obvious. Don't need lawyer.
Yeah, I don't need a lawyer. I would just tell that guy, dude,
Yeah.
just get rid of the swastika, bro. Right?
Yeah.
Then, okay, Maryland, there was a guy that worked at the governor's office. Right?
Okay.
Oh, did I hope I printed his. We'll put it up on the thing if I didn't. We'll put it up right there. Okay. So he worked for the governor's office. Do you remember the Kyle Rittenhouse case? Right.
Yes.
So he's the guy that he went to Wisconsin right? And this was after some riots in Kenosha, right? And he had an AR-15, right? And he was just like, I'm just protecting, you know what I'm saying? And there was like the riots, this, that. He claimed the rioter kind of like approached him or pushed him or something, and he shot and killed him, you know, and he did it twice, okay? So this guy
2.5 times.
Yeah, there was one guy he hit, but he didn't kill. Right, 2.5. Yeah, good number. Yeah. He killed 2.5 people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he killed 2.5.
Right. So there was one guy. He worked at the governor's office in Maryland. Okay, now this is beautiful because the case is ongoing.
Okay.
Oh, so we'll see what Jeff Fox, potential juror, would say. So he posted things on Facebook. This guy that worked, we'll put up his image here. This is the worker in Maryland. So he worked for the government. So he has the protected speech, right?
Okay.
And then so he was a Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't know, a fan. Like he posted something that said, if you can't handle a slug, don't be a thug. Right? That's a funny meme, I think.
Not too bad. Yeah. Well, my rule.
Hey, it rhymes.
My rule is if it's funny, it's okay. So,
yeah, exactly. That was funny, right? Yeah. And then he said something like, you know, if you want to defund the police, you know, well, then you're going to get Kyle Rittenhouse policing it for you, you know, things like that. So, okay, so there were posts that were sympathetic to this guy, right? Who, by the way, was not found guilty of anything. Okay, so he got fired. What do you say? Jeff Fox, juror.
Ooh,
did it impede the government by having a guy in the government staff that's posting things?
That's hard. Because here's the thing: is like it could.
I'm glad you said that. So there's gonna be a lot of lawyers.
Yeah, because like yeah, right. I'm sure they are. Yes. Because I wouldn't say inherently that it does, but I could see that the reaction that people could have to it could be an issue if they're working with public and it's obvious and things like that. Like maybe if you say inflammatory statements, even if they're true,
right? Yeah,
you know, or like, or if he's found like they're giving support to someone who's in a trial and is found not guilty. What if they're found guilty? What if he, like, you know, was found guilty of murder and then you were sympathetic towards it and stuff? Then it might even be different. I don't know. That's very
It's
complicated.
a close one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe we should do a follow-up then on that one. Well,
I'd be curious.
I think that, God, I kind of want to say I think the state of Maryland will win in a very close call because I think what he was doing, okay, hear me out. Okay.
Yeah.
So the way he was posting it and what he was posting was kind of like the, oh, if you're not a thug, or if you're a thug, you can't handle a slut, whatever.
So
right?
you're kind of calling the people he shot thugs. Maybe that's incendiary.
And it was kind of exactly. And there was like a kind of like, you know, it wasn't like a professional like statement that says, listen, I work for the government and in my opinion, you know, he has a right to bear arms and he has a right to be there, just like the protest. So if he did it in a more professional way, I think he would be fine.
Okay.
You know, I don't think he should be fired. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he did it in a way that was kind of like a jab.
It
was kind of like a shot to the public. Sorry. Okay.
Was this and this was just all on his personal social
it was on his
media
personal
stuff?
Facebook and stuff, right?
Man, that's so rough because there, like, I would say that there's probably half of the people have posted something on their social media pages that would be politically like, you know, upsetting to somebody.
Oh yeah, but you got to do it. I guess you got to do it in. I don't know. It's crazy, right? This is why. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that just means you can fire anybody.
You can fire. Well, yeah. But I think the state of Maryland will win that one. You know, for those reasons, I think the state of Maryland will win because the way he did it, I think was a little wrong.
Right, because context really matters, and like, you know, but I can't. I mean, that's like a statement that. I mean, I've seen so many people make statements like that on either side of the political aisle in directions and not get fired. That it's, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, that's so rough.
Yeah,
that's hard.
I mean,
that's tough.
Yes, I can definitely go on forever. Oh, there's also.
God, I don't think I mean, this is obviously just like personal like things, but I don't think I'd fire someone for either of those.
I wouldn't.
You know
either,
what I mean?
Man.
Like
I'm
say
like
whatever you want,
dude. I am like I'm the type that like whatever you say, I don't care. Like if somebody did show up with a swastika, I probably wouldn't. Or a anti-swastika. I don't know. I just
anti-swastika.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. To me, I would just like just get your effing job done, or I guess. But But would you what if you fire someone like they did something and your client started getting upset? Do you see what I'm saying? That's the theory.
No, I'd take my employee side over my client side every time. Every time. I'm sorry, like no.
Well, obviously you're not getting clients that are paying you a lot, right?
There's more
you
clients.
get a client that's willing to pay $5 million a year to run their business, and then you have one little punk that
screw them. Screw them. If they don't like
let's
us,
wait till you get $5 million a year from one client, then all of a sudden you're like,
okay. I think you gotta have your employees' backs on that stuff.
The next one, the last one, the one that kind of gets also is ability discrimination. Okay, so the kind of the best example would be like if a guy has to use a wheelchair, if it's a computer programming company, it's like who cares? It doesn't matter. Like you just build a ramp or something. Yeah. But obviously
your building's probably legally required to have them anyway.
Yeah. But if it's something like, let's say you hire someone to do the lighting, right, or an electrician, and they're in a wheelchair, then that one. It would that's the core function. Like they have to be able to walk and move things and build things and climb and right. So that would be a what's it called? So the disability one, there is a new kind of push, for example, like alcoholism, like people showing up like stoned or drunk to work. Because at one point the American, like the Psychology Association or something, the medical board, whatever,
called
they
it
said
a disease or a disability or something.
Yeah, called alcoholism a disability. And my favorite lawsuit was there was a coach for the USC Trojans football team, okay? And he got fired because he showed up to a practice one day drunk, and then there was a speech that he was giving to it was like one of those like fundraising to the whatever, right? And he started like slurring his speech, and he was like a little drunk. So they fired him, and he sued them for $30 million, okay? Saying that, look, it's a disease, at least accommodate it by letting me go to try to get therapy first or treatment and then try to come back. Who would you? Oh, your workers show up drunk, Mr. Flexible.
Sounds fun. It sounds like a good time. No, I mean, I obviously probably don't.
Yeah, I would probably let him get treatment and whatnot. And I do recommend to employers now is like, dude, if it is alcohol related problem, you could tell the person's got a problem. Just don't fire him. Just say, listen, you're on. You're going to keep your job, but you have to come back in 30 days, and you have to show proof of treatment or something.
Because, like you said, it's reasonable accommodations, right?
Yes,
and so it's like that's you trying to make reasonable accommodations.
Right. If it's a police officer and he's like drinking and driving, that one you can fire. There's no, but if it's the best one is like, the guy works from home and answers phone calls. Okay, maybe you could let him have a what's it called, right? Yeah. He lost his case. He had to go to arbitration, and USC won because the arbitrator said, no, they don't have to make an accommodation. This is a coach, damn it. He can't show up to practice drunk.
He's around kids and
around
well, I guess
they're
technically
they're adults,
college
but they're
students.
kids.
They're adults. Yeah,
exactly.
That makes sense. But
so that's easy. Now you're an employment law expert.
Yeah,
man.
it's
There
great.
you go. Hey, anyone that has employment questions, call Jeff Fox.
No, please don't. No, please don't.
I'm off this week. Call Jeff Fox.
Call Joe Samo.
Yeah. I want to
His number is
619-672-1741. What's it called? Cool. Well, thank you. You got time for one last joke. Just a little joke I had I'm like, I went to law school, I graduated law school, I was so excited, and the best thing for me and other lawyers to get is, what do they call it? Dick pics? Is that what they call it when a guy sends a picture of his? Because anytime if an employer sends that to an employee, that's an automatically good case.
Okay,
like that's like the clear, you got evidence. That is pure gold for lawyers.
Sexual harassment with evidence.
Yes, that's
Beautiful.
the best case. Yeah. All right, man. Well, on that note, thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
See you folks next week on Run It By My Lawyer.